These are two of the most commonly used heater plugs or glow plugs, the sheath type and the coil type. Here you can see the external appearance of the heater plugs as installed on this engine. Heater plugs are located in the wall of the separate chamber to heat the air and to ignite the fuel to aid in starting the engine when it is cold. A heater coil may be located in the inlet manifold. It is a large electrically heated coil which heats the air during the initial starting process. The thermostat process is most commonly found with the open combustion chamber design. A small heating coil is situated in the intake manifold, where a small quantity of fuel is ignited to heat the incoming air during the starting process. Ether can be sprayed into the intake manifold while the engine is being cranked over. Excessive amounts of ether may cause damage to the pistons and crankshaft. A decompression lever is used in conjunction with a crank handle start. By moving the decompression lever, one valve for each cylinder is held off its seat, allowing compression pressure to be released until the flywheel has gained sufficient momentum for starting. When the lever is released, compression is regained and ignition can take place. On some engines, an excess fuel device provides additional fuel for cold starting. On this engine, you can hear the different sound as additional fuel is injected into the cylinder. During this period, the pump can deliver more fuel than its normal maximum. This is a more typical inline fuel pump, showing what happens when the excess fuel button is pressed. The rack moves to the excess fuel position. It returns to normal operating position when the engine is running. Make sure you know how to stop any diesel engine before you start it. In hand starting, a crank handle is used. It is essential to check that the pawl action is working correctly so that you are not injured. If the engine starts and the pawl jams, the crank handle will continue to rotate with the engine and you can be severely hurt. Make sure that your thumb is placed on the top of the handle, not grasping or wrapping around it like this. This ensures that in the case of a kickback, the thumb is free of the flying handle. Hand starting usually involves the use of a decompression lever to enable the engine cranking to reach speed for initial ignition. There are basically two electric start systems. In the actual starter motor, the pinion moves with the shaft to engage the flywheel ring gear, then turns to start the motor. In the coaxial starter motor, the pinion gear moves along the shaft to mesh with the flywheel ring gear. The spring starter is a manually operated unit in which the energy is stored in a compressed spring. The spring is tensioned by winding the external crank. When the spring is released, the pinion gear spins out to engage the flywheel ring gear, cranking the engine. The air motor start depends on a supply of air normally stored in a separate tank. When the starter solenoid is operated, air is supplied under pressure to the air starter motor, which cranks the engine over with a distinctive noise.